Yeah, no, he's back. And so seen him the last couple of days. I don't have any more details to provide for everybody other than what we've released, but it's good to have him back in the building.
Or you will say where he was at before he got the surgery.
All the details we've released are the details we'll release.
Now that you got practice week starting in, where do you think staying with T and Cam and the injured guys?
Encouraged, this will be the first day to get them out there and see what they can do. They've been with the trainers. And so, again, I think everything is progressing as you would hope. But, of course, we need to get them out there and see them do it and see them move around a little bit and how they feel. But I think from that standpoint, we're in a pretty good place, going into what we would call Wednesday practice with where we're at. Cheeto's a little under the weather today, so he'll be the one that's missing from the field and hopefully back sooner rather than later.
So we're talking about Higgins camp too, right?
Yeah. Yep. Sounds good.
Who was talking about their speed on off? How much does that pop off the tape to you when you watch? I know you watch mostly by their defense, but how much when you see their offense does that pop off the tape?
It does. At really all positions that they have, they have a lot of speed in the backfield. They do a good job with that. The receivers really fly off the tape. They've done a really good job. Adding really at all levels, of free agency over the last couple of years. They've done a good job building that room and tight ends that can move as well. So it's a good group. And then Trevor's really athletic as well. I remember feeling that firsthand when we played him here on that Thursday night. You could really feel his presence on the perimeter, as he extended plays and really challenged you that way. And so that's another element that you have to defend as well.
Is he the classic quarterback that extends the play, keeps it alive? You got to tell your receivers, just like with C.J. Stroud, to make sure you stick with them.
Absolutely. He can move around in the pocket and extend plays that way, or he's willing to go get plays with his legs and can win around the edge and outrun, defensive ends and backers and big guy too. So he's got a big presence back there and he's got a strong arm. He can make all the throws. There's some pretty remarkable throws that he's made on tape. So he's certainly, a very challenging quarterback to defend against.
7-1 over their last 8. Just in terms of full three-phase football, what do you see? What stands out? Why they've been able to go on this run?
Yeah, they're scoring on offense, and so they're being productive there. Defensively, they're doing a good job against the run early in the game, and takeaways. It feels there's certain games where they've really multiplied on the takeaways that have gotten them control of the games, and so you watch the tape, and there's a lot of 2-score leads. Relatively quickly these last couple of weeks, it feels like. I know Houston got back in it, but there's some games where they've done a great job getting control and then dictating the flow of the game from there and allowed them to play the game. And that's winning. That's winning football, is when you can get control of the game and then everybody can play aggressively in the way you want to do it. And they've done a really good job of that. I know they fell short against San Fran, but those other losses were pretty early in the season. They've been playing good football since then.
How cool is it to, obviously go against press this weekend and kind of give the journeys both y'all had and kind of share the same field on a primetime game?
Yeah, it's a lot's made of it. Probably the least is made of it from me and press, but he's somebody I'm very proud of. I've watched his journey. He's earned everything he's ever gotten. He's worked really hard for it. He's really smart, takes care of people. I think that's the respect people have, is how he's treated other people. And so again, it's proud as a big brother that's watched him, always fight for everything he got and does a good job earning it all. It's really cool to see him in this position and doing really well and using their pieces the right way and scoring a lot of points and having fun. So, he and I will see each other very briefly, and then we get a chance to catch up after the season.
How good is Foye who can stand out on the tape?
It's hard to single out one guy. He's a really good player. So I can start naming a lot of them. And so I think they've, where they acquired them all from, whether it was through the draft, whether it's through free agency, they've put together a really nice defense that you really feel their presence out there, and they've done a really nice job this year.
Would Press be the type to save a gadget play, a trick play for you, or something like that?
I'd be the last to know. I'd be the last to know. So we'll find out. Be ready for everything. But hard to know.
How big is the Taylor friends and family traveling party when these games come up?
That's a great question. One thing I'm terrible at is who's coming to a game ahead of time. I usually remember as soon as I see them in my house. that they were coming. Otherwise, you're just so. I mean, the week is just so stressful as it is to get the work in, and then you show up, and this is the week so and so is coming. So this is in Jacksonville, not my problem. I know my parents are coming. I know my sister Catherine's coming. I'm not sure if Quincy and her husband Jared are coming. Again, I should probably ask these questions. I don't do a good job of this. I'm being exposed right now. It's not a great thing, but beyond that, I'm not certain who else would be down there.
I mean, are you surprised, given how y'all brother, that y'all ended up both becoming coaches? Have you ever thought about why y'all both?
No, I think that's a pretty easy solution. We've had the best coach there is with my dad. Just the way that he coached us as kids, and I like to think that the values he instilled in us, allowed you to go impact other people. And what do we know best? We know football best, and so that's a profession I think we just naturally were drawn to. I like to think that we coach the same way he coached us, with patience and just a willingness to help people improve and communicate with them, and then the support of our mom. She told us we were the best at everything we ever did. And she still can't get over the fact I didn't win the Heisman Trophy. I was probably 80th in the ballots, but she's still disappointed that didn't happen. But it's just, I think with them, just the childhood, people really knew my childhood and kind of the home we grew up in. You wouldn't be surprised that we both ended up in the same career path, kind of emulating what my dad did when we were younger.
Zach, when you look at the nuance of this season, from the Joe Burrow calf injury to him being healthy to his wrist and now a back quarterback, there's been a lot of change, it feels like, this year. Has that been challenging for you as a play caller, for the staff calling plays based on how different you kind of had to be at different spots?
Every week is its own plan, and you just make do with what's available to you. Whether it's a full speed quarterback, a 3/4 speed quarterback, an injured receiver, whatever it is, that's just life in this league. And there's people that are going to make excuses for it, and it makes for a really long season. And there's people that just say, hey, this is what we got. We got good players. Other guys got to step up. Young guys who maybe haven't had an opportunity to step up. And I think those are the teams and those are the organizations that survive, through long seasons, because you can look around the league at the last 3 weeks, and I guarantee you all 32 teams have faced some adversity. There's hard questions you got to ask. There's discouraging moments. There's encouraging moments. And it's what teams kind of persevere through that, and their character pulls them through that. And they know that you can change the narrative real fast, from week to week. And that's something that always excites me. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard when you're in a tough stretch. We're all human, but at the same time, it's the reason we do this is because of the moments where you get a chance to pull through and you get to be in the locker room. And so to answer your question, it's always a challenge when you don't have everybody you like to have, but we're not the only team that is presented with that challenge, and so we just got to make the most of it.
You see anything with your two sons? You and your brother wanted to be with your dad. Wanted to be like your dad. Do you see your two sons? They like to be down here. Do you see them kind of maybe following the trail? Yeah, I could certainly see that. I don't think anybody ever wants their child to coach. I think that's 100% rate of do not do this. And then it's usually about a 90% rate of, well, I'm doing it anyway. That's typically what you see, because they just spend more time around the game. They sit in my basement and watch tape with me, and they know all the personnel. I always ask them, what are the keys to victory beating Jacksonville? And they'll reel off the players you got to stop. And so I could see them doing that. I think, Brooks is probably one as well. I think Luke is way too smart for that. I think he's going to figure out a way to solve a lot of the world's problems before he ever has to coach a football game, hopefully. But I could see him doing it too. He's got a lot of interest in football. You see the Jacksonville Jaguar defense speed off tape, like see the offensive speed.
Yeah, I see violence up front from them. I think they've got a lot of depth up front, including their linebackers and safeties, and they've done a good job on the back end with the coverage. They've got a real knack of making plays on the balls and doing a good job mixing up different looks. So it's a really well-rounded team. That's what stands out. You look at they've won 7 of the last 8. Okay, I get it. I can see that. And they're playing good football right now.
What are the keys to beating Jacksonville?
I think anytime you're in a game like this, it's especially at this point in the year, you got to maximize those possessions when you cross midfield, and whether that's the field position, whether that's putting the points on the board, and at the same time, just turnovers. Turnovers are so critical to maximize opportunities you can get, and we've got to do a great job at this point, playing on some of those margins of the turnover battle and things like that. And we preach it every week, and had a great presentation on it today.
What impresses you the most about ATN?
He's just so well-rounded. So he does a great job in the run game. Out of the backfield, when he does get the ball, he's a real challenge, in space. And so I just think he's a really well-rounded football player that's done a really nice job for him.
You still feel like this team could potentially back to its way to the postseason? That's something that you.
Absolutely. I mean, that's we go into every week knowing that we got to get this one because no one's out of it, no one's in it, and we're right there where we need to be. We just got to play our best football, and plenty of opportunity in front of us. Obviously, with people we play against that are in similar positions, maybe slightly more favorable, but it doesn't matter. It's just about which team can continue to handle adversity and just really take a week-to-week mindset and figure out how to get the first one and then keep yourself in it. And I know that this team has a lot of confidence, and I've liked what I've seen being around these guys. And so I'm excited to get out there on Monday and see how this thing plays out.
I know you wanted to get Chase Brown in last week, but the circumstances weren't right. Do you kind of force it on Monday night, more or less commit to, all right, he's going to go in on this series?
I think he's a guy we continue to talk about. And for all the reasons I've kind of sat up here and said this, before he got hurt and put on IR, he was doing a really nice job and we were finding roles for him. And so that's just part of it. And so now we got to find a way for guys like Chase to be involved and see what they can do for us and get a chance to get them, kind of under the lights and see how they do. So he's done everything on his end to prepare himself and be in the position. And so we'll just continue to see how it plays out over the next couple weeks.
How do you balance the thought of needing to see more from players like Chase and Charlie, some of the rookies that moving forward are going to be a big part of what you want to do, as opposed to, but you're still trying to win games.
Yeah.
Your starters. So how's that balance for you?
We're trying to win games, number one. Whatever we feel like the plan needs to be to win the football game, that's what we need to be doing. And aside from that, we do have players that as the season goes along, they get better accustomed to the playbook or the experience, or maybe they've had some roles on special teams and you're seeing a lot more confidence there. And so it becomes the time of the year where naturally they have to step in. It could be due to injury. And so I think you start to hit that point where guys are confident, and now let's put them out there and see what they can do. And sometimes you got to roll for a guy, and just the way the game doesn't play out, that role doesn't pop as much as maybe you had hoped or anticipated. And then you move on to the next week and see what you can do there.
Personally, how much urgency do you feel in kind of getting your offense going to where it needs to be? Where do you think it can go?
Again, we just try to put the best plan forward, and we want to score points. And so what urgency do I have this week? The same urgency I've had. I don't know how many games I've coached here, but that has remained unchanged. And, we don't work harder one week and a little less harder the next week. It is all bent on trying to win the football game and putting our team in the best position.
What was it that about your dad's coaching abilities that you admired most, and how much do you lean on when you're in times of adversity?
Sure. Patience, number one. I can remember he was very stoic, on the sidelines of the basketball games, and always had a great plan for us. He would ask us, do you want to play college football? Yes, I want to play college football. Here's what you're going to have to do. And I can remember that probably as early as fifth grade, doing jumping drills, trying to touch my garage door, and then, he wanted me to jump higher. It's hard for me to do. Doing all sort of agility drills. We had a field right across the street from our house. He was always setting up hurdles and box jumps. And one time we had, a strap attached from like me to Mike, and you had to get away from the other person and break the strap, so it was just two people chasing each other around the field, trying to work agility drills. And so a lot of great memories. I've maybe told the story before. He used to take us out there about 7 days before 2 days would start in high school. He wasn't our high school coach, but he'd take us out there about 7 days before. And he'd get me and 15 of my teammates out there. And then the next day there'd be 13 teammates. And then the next day it'd be 11. And then the next day it was just me and my brother, I'm making him come out there with me. But it was, he knew what it took. And I think that's why my brother and I got scholarships. He knew what it took. He wasn't overly demanding. He wasn't sitting there dog cussing us saying, do this and do this. He just said, if you really want to plan and do this, here's the path, and I'll push you to do it. And it was never in a way that I was uncomfortable with or didn't want to do. It was, I want this. And so here's the tools to do it. And I was able to do it. So was my brother. And it's because he understood and had a plan and helped guide us. And patience, number one with him. I think everybody that knows my dad would say patience. That's pretty good quality.